Introduction to Python Programming on Google Colab. Session 1. My name is Dele, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. Please see the description for timestamps and further information regarding this course. Python is one of the most popular programming languages in the world for a reason. It's easy to learn, very versatile, used for web development, data science, automations, AI, and much, much more. Google Collaboratory, or Colab for short, is a free and powerful online platform by Google that comes pre-installed with Python. Google Colab allows you to complete the tasks that we're going to be doing in this exercise online straight away. So you don't just listen along, you can also follow along. Recently, Google Colab has enabled AI help on the platform, and this makes it even more useful for students, anyone learning Python, or even experienced users of Python. So grab your PC or your Mac, you probably already have, and let's dive into Python programming together. And let's start with an introduction to Google Colab. Now, this is going to be a quick introduction to Google Colab. If you are absolutely new to Google Colab, please see our earlier lesson, an introduction to Colab, and there's a link to that on the description, and you will be able to get a more in-depth introduction to Google Colab. To start Google Colab, point your browser to colab.google, and the screen that you're seeing in front of you now is what you see. Then click on Open Colab. And here we are. This, in effect, is our welcome screen. But right now, we're going to go straight into New Notebook, because that's what you're going to be using most of the time. When you click on this, it'll take a few moments to load, but once it does load, this is what you're going to see. This is your work area. A notebook in Google Colab is just like a new folder where you keep all your work. It's made up of cells, code cells and text cells. And most of what you'll be working in will be code cells. Any work you do here will be saved to your Google Drive. You can also save your files to other places. I dealt with that too in the introduction. Let's write a piece of code here. I'm going to write Python, space, version. And that's going to tell us what version of Python is running on this platform. Now remember, Python comes pre-installed, so you don't need to install it. It will be running, at the time I was doing this course, it was running Python 3.10.12. Okay. The other thing I'll ask you to do is to rename this file. So you see up here where it's got untitled document, let us save this one as test1. Okay, test1. And then it always ends in the extension IPYNB, and that stands for Interactive Python Notebook. Click anywhere on your page and you are ready to go. Okay, so here we are in a notebook. We're going to be doing all our work inside here. Okay, go and open up your version of Google Colab and find out what version of Python it is running. Thank you. Go and do that and then come back and we go on to the next exercise, which is Introduction to Variables in Python. Thank you. Welcome to Python Variables. In our last lesson, we looked at setting up Google Colab. Please go over that lesson if you have not already done so, especially if you do not know how to set up Google Colab. So let's get started. Variables in Python are containers that store data. So if I were to make a variable called my name and I assigned it the value Dele OK, that's what you would get. Now, my name is a variable, Dele OK is the value. When you assign a value to a variable, you are telling Python to store that value, in this case, Dele OK, and to associate it with a variable name, in this case, my name. Calling the variable presents the value. Values are containers for storing data. They are case sensitive. And some of the other rules you should observe when making variables in Python are they must start with a letter or underscore character. They cannot start with a number. And they can only contain alphanumeric characters as well as an underscore. And also, very importantly, they should not contain any of the Python keywords. Now, you might be asking straight away, how do I know what the keywords are? Let's show you how you can find out. Notice here, I'm going to click on the Code tab. Once you roll over the cell, they will appear. I'm going to click on Code. So that is going to create me a new code cell. And to find out what the keywords are in Python, I simply type in help, followed by open brackets, and inside there, I put the word keywords. Now, running this will give me a list of all the keywords in Python, and you should be able to do this on whatever platform you are running your code. Although I do strongly recommend Google Colab for this course because you can follow along. In fact, at this point, why don't you pause and go and run that same command in your Python platform and see what you get back. Okay, welcome back. Hope you did it. Here you have all the list of the keywords in Python, and you should not use them when naming your variables. Now I'm going to make a new code block. And let's start by making a variable again. Now, also mention that you can use comments when writing in Python. Very good advice. And a comment starts with a hash. So I'm going to say this is a variable. Okay. And then here I'm going to make a variable. The value is my name. And there I am putting my name there. So that is my value. That is my variable. Let's make another one. Notice that this variable is inside double quotes. The value here, $OK, is a string. It has no special meaning in Python. And anytime you are using letters or letters and numbers together, they're referred to as a string. That is their data type. We'll look at data types in a little bit more detail later on. Just like you can have a dog and your dog can be a different breed. So you've got variables, and the variables can have different types, different data types. So if your data type is a string, it goes inside of double quotes. If, on the other hand, your data type is a number, and here I'm going to use my number as the name of my variable, and I'm going to set the number to 20. Now, because it's a number, and this is a whole number, an integer, we'll look more at that later on, it doesn't have to go inside double quotes. There are other data types too that do not go inside double quotes, and we shall look at those too later on. Now, if you wanted your variable to go over several lines, like in this case, I have got a variable called about Python. And notice it goes over several lines. There's actually a line break at the end of this line. And notice here I have got 3 quotes, triple quotes. So that's another way you can make your variables. You can either have them as double quotes if they're just going to be on one line, triple quotes if they're going to go over several lines, especially if you're going to hit a carriage return. You can hit a carriage return at the end of this line. It would not make a problem. Or if it's a number, it goes inside no quotes at all. Now, if I wanted to print all of these out, and let me make another line here, I am going to say print. And I could print them one by one, as you can see there, and there's nothing wrong in that. So in this case, I'm printing them out one by one. So I'm printing the name, printing my number, I'm printing about Python. When making variable names, it's always good practice to give them names that are descriptive. So my name, my number, about Python. You can see that name and almost guess what the value is going to be. Don't use things like X or A. Now I'm going to run these 3. And here we go. And that prints out my name, my number, and the value of about Python. Now, if I want to cancel this output, I want to clear this output so I don't get too much on the screen. Notice I just click up here and I'm going to do clear output. So it's cleared it. And now I am going to say print, and I'm simply using a comma to separate each of them. And that is just listing them. So it's I only have to run one print function. That's the print. Anytime you see something in Python with an open bracket, close bracket, it normally is a function. So that's the print function that is used to send information to the user. Now, these are very simple examples. And now let's run that. And there it runs it exactly in the same manner as we did it before. Now, what you might sometimes also want to do is to print out a variable with a string. What I mean is this. So if I were to do this, I wanted to say, print, welcome to the course. And I'm going to say, welcome to the course. And I have print, and I'm going to concatenate that with my name. Okay, let's just get rid of this line here for now. Okay. So notice what I've got here. Welcome to the course. This is an ordinary text. And when you're printing ordinary text, you put it inside double quotes, just like you put variable strings inside double quotes. But then I am joining it to my variable name. Now, because this name has already been declared on my line 2 up here, Python knows what it means. So this is going to print welcome to the course, and then it will add my name to it. Now, in this case, I just want to run this line. And this is something you can do in Google Colab. I've simply highlighted the line I want to run. I don't want to run all the others again. And I go up to runtime, and I'm going to say run selection. So it just runs that line. Welcome to the course. Delay. Okay. Very handy. On the other hand, I cannot print out two variables that are of different data types with the plus sign. Let me show you what I mean. So if I wanted to do print, and then I had inside there my name, and I wanted to then add my number. Now, in this case here, I am going to use this later on. So I'm going to comment this line out just for now. Okay, that's another thing to note. If you've got a piece of code, you don't want to use it just yet, you can comment it out. Okay, so notice my line 12 now. I'm printing out my name and my number. The plus sign is going to try and join them together. And because of that, it's going to throw an error. My name is a string. My number is a number. So that's going to create an error. I'm going to highlight that to run that line on its own. And here we are, run selection. And there you get an error. Okay. Now, in this case, this is where knowing the data types is important. And we're going to look at data types in the next lesson. On the other hand, let's now comment this line out because we know it's giving us an error. Let's free this one. So simply by removing a comment tag from in front of a line. Now, these lines are also known as statements. Okay. So if I want to temporarily remove a statement, I can simply comment it out with the hash sign. Now I'm going to clear this output that we have got here. Clear outputs. And you can see why Google Colab is so handy. Okay. Now, in this case now, what you have on line 13 is known as the F-string formatting. And F-string formatting was introduced in Python 3.6. And it makes it possible for us to put variables inside double quotes. Notice what I had on line 13, welcome to the course, and then I joined it to my variable. If I put that word my name inside here, and I can show you actually, let me put my name here. It's going to treat that as an ordinary string. And let me just run this line.
runtime, and run selection. And you see what it's got? Welcome to the course, my name. And then the my name that is not inside the double quotes, it interpolates that and prints out its value. So before Python 3.6, let me put this here, formatting from Python 3.6. So here now notice with the F string, still use the same print, and then there goes an F. F is not case sensitive, can be uppercase, can be lowercase. And then inside double quotes, you continue as normal. When you come to a variable, you put it inside curly brackets. And you can see here the nice thing that Colab does. When I roll over it, it tells me that variable is an integer. We're going to look at those in a bit more detail in our next lesson. But now this is simply going to print them out. So if I just wanted to print this line, let's go to run and run selection. There you have it. It prints it all out. It prints out the variables. Now, that's enough for an introduction to variables. Let's end with an exercise. And here it is. Create 3 variables with your name, any number you like, and your country, and then print them out using the F string. Now, I'd recommend that you pause this video at this point and carry out that exercise, and then come back to see the answer. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope you've done the exercise, and I hope you got it. Let me show you what your code would look like. So here we are. I've got a variable. Your name, I've given it a name. Your number, I've given it a number. Your country, I've given it a country. And it should look something like this with the F string. Now, you'll see this piece of code at the top. That is what I used to hide the code when I initially made it, but I don't want it hidden anymore. So I'm going to remove that. And now let's run this. There we are. Name, age, name, the number, and the country. Hope you got that. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this lesson, please remember to like and subscribe, and then we go on to our next lesson, data types.